It's the most miraculous time of the year, a time for good tidings and Christmas good cheer, filled with childlike faith, wish lists and letters, sugar plums, toy cars, and Corvette red leather. Hopes that we were not naughty and made the nice list, to receive from that jolly man not coal, but only good gifts. I wish there was a way to guarantee. I guess the gift is a reminder that no matter the cost, receiving is free. Wishing Merry Christmas to you and yours is a must from all of us at Bill Harris Dealerships, the name you know and trust.
Good morning, Mayor Matt Miller.
Good morning.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. I know you've been really busy this week, and first I want to say congratulations on Melanie's win as state representative.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. Believe it or not, she is already busy working for the people of the 67th District, and she hasn't even been sworn in. This past week, she was in Columbus for 3 days for an orientation where they learn everything from where to park their car, how to get into the building, and then, of course, how to write a bill. So she has been busy working hard there in Columbus, and I know she was down there yesterday as well, actually setting up her staff so that someone will be available to answer any calls that might come in from people here in Medina and Ashland County. So she's very excited and very, very grateful that the people of the 67th District did select her to represent us in the State House.
I don't think we could have had a better person.
You know, I actually am a little biased, but I would say I don't believe we could have found someone who will work harder for the people who call Ashland and Medina home. She proved that during the campaign when she was going door to door all across the counties, and I think that same work ethic now will be applied to taking care of the people here in these two counties and making sure we have a strong voice in our state capital.
Well, I got to tell you, the number one thing people want to know about is the Christmas decorations.
Absolutely.
And I know this is your favorite
Absolutely.
subject.
Well, it is one of my favorite subjects. And I have to say that on this sunny morning, downtown Ashland looks beautiful. Folks might have already noticed that this past Monday, I guess it's only Tuesday, right? So this past Monday, yesterday, our city crews were out and they were, of course, planting the pine trees in all of the pots that we have along Main Street and Center Street and some of the side streets. And the trees, of course, come to us from Sugar Grove Tree Farm, and they look beautiful again this year. Very healthy and the perfect Christmas tree shape. And of course, if you recall, those trees, every year we keep those trees in the pots throughout the winter holiday season, and then in the spring we actually plant them at different locations around the city. We've planted some in the parks before, we've planted some at Brookside Golf Course, but we always then plant those trees somewhere throughout the city. So we love that part of our Christmas program. Another part that people might see is the ornament sculpture has already been installed at Foundation Plaza, and I will tell you that that's just kind of a little teaser, because here at the city we want to respect the integrity and honor Thanksgiving Day, and so we will put all the rest of our Christmas decorations out here the week between Thanksgiving and December 3rd. That way they're all up, they've all been installed before the Christmas holiday parade. Now, as you know, Joe, this year we have a lot more decorations to add. Over the last couple of months, we've been working with our friends at Simonson to erect poles along Main Street that will allow us to, for the first time ever, have garland hanging across Main Street. The garland will be evergreen, of course. It will include twinkling white lights to match all of those in the trees lining Main Street. But in the very center, there will be about a 4-foot wide wreath. Beautiful wreaths hanging from down the center of Main Street. And each of those wreaths will have a big red velvet bow with gold lining. And I've already seen them. We've laid them out at Simonson to get an idea of the size and scope and what will be involved to install them. And they look magnificent. I have to tell you that I truly do believe that this year, downtown Ashland will probably look the most storybook it has ever looked in its history. I've seen the old postcards in the 1950s when they used to string lights across Main Street. But I think this time we just might have outdone all of the past generations, because when you add these garlands and you light up all those streets along, or all those trees along Main Street, and then you add the new 16.5 feet tall toy soldiers at the arch at the entrance of our city, it's going to look pretty magnificent. So I myself can't wait to see it next week, and it should be very exciting.
I'm looking forward to it because it's like every year it's getting better and better.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we do get these giant toy soldiers in place and we get this garland over the street, one of the things that I am planning to do, we'll have to figure out the exact time frame, but I'm hoping that one evening, maybe the following Saturday after we get all the decorations up, we still got to determine this. So don't run with Saturday because it might not end up being Saturday. But one evening, I would like for us to close Main Street in that location by our arch so that families can come down and one by one they can go stand out in the middle of the street under the arch with the toy soldiers by their sides and get a picture. But we'll give you more details when we get that worked out.
That seems like one of those hallmark.
That's right. I think it would be a great way for people to take pride in our hometown of Ashland and also maybe use for their own Christmas cards.
Hey, another one is all the demolition that's going on.
Oh, yes.
Simonson Construction is really working fast.
You know they are, and we are so appreciative of all the work that they're doing because I will admit we were under a deadline. Here about 2 months ago, as I started talking with our friends at Simonson, I said, we've got to have all this done by the Christmas parade. We want the downtown completely cleaned up for this holiday season. And God bless them, but they have worked very hard to make sure that that has happened. And there's one more building for them to remove, and that is what is known today as JR's Muffler Shop. JR is actually relocating to a location out on Cottage Street. But yesterday, many people probably noticed that finally we were able to remove the old Ona Jane's building, or what used to also house Chad's Auto Collision. Chad's Auto Collision has now relocated out on 1475 at a different location, but those buildings that have been vacant now for probably more than a year, they are finally down. Now, why did we take them down? Well, there's a number of reasons. Probably the most practical reason of all is the fact that the back walls of those buildings actually were serving as the retaining wall for our town creek or center run that runs behind it. And to say runs behind it almost doesn't tell you the full story, because the truth is over the last several years, not only did the creek run behind those buildings, it was starting to erode and run under those buildings. So there's a very practical reason why we have to remove these buildings. It's because the erosion that's taking place in that area requires that we install a brand new culvert in that vicinity. And that is no small project, to say the least, but it's something that must be done. Incidentally, some of your viewers might recall that it wasn't long ago you and I were discussing a giant sinkhole there across from Dairy Queen. That sinkhole was a result of this erosion that I'm talking about, and all of this is part of one project. So why are we removing those buildings? Number one, it's because we've got to install a culvert in that location. But quite frankly, maybe one of the other ancillary benefits of removing those buildings is it does a wonderful job of cleaning up that major entryway into our historic downtown. Think about it. It wasn't that long ago when you would come into our city on Main Street. You would come past the T-Mobile store, I believe it is, or the phone store, and you had all of these apartments right there on top of Main Street, probably about 20 feet off the street, built right there. And it was very, very congested. In fact, if you recall, there was even an accident where someone, I think they were intoxicated, and they ran through the intersection and ran into one of those houses because they were so close there on Main Street. Absolutely. So we removed all of those with a grant we received from the Ohio Public Works Commission, and we're kind of making that part of our Center Run Trail project. But now when you come into town, you no longer have those buildings cluttering so close to Main Street, but you come around the corner and now you'll finally have a clean view of downtown. So I think this is going to be a wonderful improvement, and quite honestly, I guess you could call it an early Christmas gift, because I think we're all thrilled to finally get those old deteriorating buildings down. And you know what? Yesterday, my wife and I, we actually drove downtown in the evening to see the progress that was made on those demolition projects. And you know, that's what I said to her. I said, you know, look at that. There's no longer do we have any vacant, deteriorating buildings on our Main Street downtown. with the removal of these final three buildings, Olna Jane's, and of course what was known as Chad's Auto Collision, and finally JR's Mufflers. Now we have a very clean downtown, and motorists coming in off East Main Street or Interstate 71 don't have to pass any blight on their way in. Incidentally, I've had some people mention to me, well, when are you going to clean up Cottage Street, or when are you going to clean up this street? Well, obviously all these projects take time. Right now we know that the majority of visitors into Ashland come into our city on East Main Street off of Interstate 71, whether they're traveling to the university, whether they're traveling to our historic downtown. So that's the first project. And then, of course, in these coming months and years, hopefully we can make progress on some of the other corridors.
I wanted to ask you, we had the city council, they had some very important items.
Yes, full
one
agenda.
Being the rezoning of 58 acres, the other one was Eagle Gas Station.
Yes. Well, speaking of a cleanup project, you know, I've always said that we would do the great cleanup here in Ashland. And if you recall, the great cleanup began with the pump house. I think we started that in early 2019. So 3 years ago, we started the great cleanup with the removal of the pump house. Then we moved to the Hessen Clark site, cleaned up that big building, that giant albatross, and now it's finally gone. The third project that I was very interested in addressing, and I know a lot of folks in our community were interested in addressing, was the Eagle Gas Station. That's the abandoned gas station located at the corner of Claremont Avenue and West Liberty Street, right across from the U.S. Post Office here in the city of Ashland. You still see the abandoned fuel islands, and there's a little bit of a cashier's hut or whatever that still exists there. Well, we are finally ready to remove that structure. That project is actually being funded through a grant, I believe it's called an abandoned gas station cleanup grant. We finally received word that we did receive the grant. It's a $250,000 grant, $250,000 grant. And so we, at the last council meeting, with the support of the council, voted to move forward with advertising for bids for someone to come in, a contractor to come in to remove those islands, remove the underground tanks, and turn that to for the time being, probably just a grassy space. Who knows in the future, maybe it'll be additional parking for the post office, maybe a new business will want to go there, but for the time being, the cheapest route to go is simply to turn it to grass. So that will be happening in early spring. So that's an important project that we've waited on for a long time, quite honestly, Joe.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, you talk about the 58 acres. On the agenda, the City Council moved forward with rezoning 58 acres of land located off Smith Road and Bainey Road here in the city of Ashland. So if you know where the Peace Lutheran Church is, all of that open farm fields and tree lines back there, that's the parcel we're talking about. There's 58 acres there. Brandon Hunsinger of Hunsinger Builders out of Mansfield purchased that land last year, I believe it was. And the reason for the rezoning is, while currently you can build houses on that land, it's estimated that if you followed all of our rules and regulations, you could probably build up to 175 homes, single-family homes on that land. The Hunsinger family would like to instead build condos, upscale condos, and these would actually be 2 condos per unit. And in order to do that, we had to rezone it from RL, residential, to RL2, which basically is just what it sounds like. Instead of just permitting single-family homes, now you are allowed to build 2-family homes or 2-family dwelling units there. In other words, condos. It's estimated that Hunsinger Builders, if all goes as planned, they will probably build somewhere in the neighborhood of 145 additional condos at that location. It'll be a beautiful spot for them. If you take a look at some of the projects Hunsinger Builders has done in Richland County, they are spectacular. We believe we could not find a better developer to develop that land. So that's 58 acres. It's been rezoned, and hopefully here in the very near future, it will happen in phases. New condominiums will be built in that area behind Peace Lutheran Church and off Bainey Road.
The other was the Claremont Avenue.
Yes.
Is there an update on Claremont?
Yeah, there is. I know everyone always asks me about Claremont. Just a real quick summary. If you recall actually it was earlier this year, I believe, In the early months of 2022, the city went to bid. In other words, we advertised for contractors to rebuild Claremont Avenue. Well, we ended up getting one bid, and that bid was over $1 million more than what our engineer's estimate was for the project. Well, as a result, by law, we are not able to accept that bid. We have to go rebid. Well, we talked to our friends at ODOT about the project. We talked to other folks that were involved in possibly being potential contractors for the project, and everyone was in agreement that we needed to postpone the project until this fall, now, and then go to bid or go out for bid. And the thought is that we will likely have more bidders, and we will also get a more competitive price for the project. Now, if you watch the council meeting, you will see that the engineers estimate that this project could be around $5.4 million, which is more than we thought it would be in the beginning. I want to say that the primary reason why that number is so big is because we have determined that we need to replace the water line that goes down the middle of Claremont Avenue below the street surface. That's a big water line. It's an important water line, but we are believing that we need to repair it while we're repairing Claremont Avenue so that we don't get a bunch of new pavement laid down there and then 6 months later have a big water main break and have to cut into it. So that's adding about $700,000 to $1 million to that project just to replace the water line. But we're confident that we've got the funds to do so. It's taken a lot of creativity and a lot of, creative saving on different projects, but we're confident that we would be able to fund the project. But we're hoping those bids come back far less than $5.4 million.
Absolutely. Another one is do you have a movie theater update?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that coming along?
You know what? It is coming along. They're making great progress. In fact, yesterday I just got another message. We've actually been working, a committee of us, to figure out what kind of carpet to install in the theater and the color scheme and so on. And while most of that's already been selected, I just got a message yesterday that we've got to have our final decisions on the carpets here, hopefully within the day, quite honestly. It's going to be spectacular. Truly, I think everyone will be impressed with the theater. However, I do have to tell you that it does appear as though it's unlikely the theater will be open by the end of this year. If you recall, that has been the goal of the board of Shines Theater, was to get that theater open by the end of this year. While there has been a ton of work done and we're dangerously close, I have a feeling it'll be in 2023, early 2023, when we finally are able to have a grand opening for the theater.
Okay.
But let me tell you, it'll be worth the wait. I promise you.
Well, we need to do another video update down there in the theater just so they can kind of see how it is.
Yes.
We don't want to give it away just yet.
Yes, yes. You know, I think that's the first time I said I promise you. That really does sound like a politician. Try not to ever make promises you can't keep. But I do think you will think it's worth the wait once you see the final product.
Well, from what I've seen, it's coming along really good. There's a new app for the city. I want to talk about
yes.
that.
Well, we don't quite got it, but you're right. The city here in the mayor's office, the staff here in the mayor's office, we are working hard to develop, along with a software company, a new app for the city of Ashland. Now, quite honestly, this is not earth-shattering. While it's new to the city of Ashland, I know some of our area school districts, in fact, Ashland City School has an app. But basically, the reason we want to do this is, even though most of you watching are obviously on social media, there's still a lot of folks that are not on social media. They're not on Facebook, they're not on Instagram, they're not on TikTok. They don't get on and check their feeds every day. And we need a way to reach folks in a timely manner. And with this new app, basically what it would allow us to do is anyone in the city who has a smart device could download the Ashland City app, and then you'll be able to get a whole variety of information, quite honestly. But to me, most importantly, you would then be able to get regular alerts on things happening in the city. Those could be everything from the schedule for the Christmas parade to when the pool party's happening, or it could be things that are much more vital, like you need to take a detour because your street's closed for a water main break, or those types of things. And I've seen the prototype and we're working through some of the details, but I think it will be very valuable. The key will be to get as many people to download the app as possible, because that's what will make it effective. But I think once people get a taste for it, see how it works, people are really going to appreciate it. Because like I said, let's face it, the way we get our news is evolving. The newspaper is getting smaller, less circulation. You know, Joe, because a lot of 100,000 followers follow your page. That's how they get their news. We know that we've got an online news source out of Richland County and Ashland County. People are getting their news in a variety of different ways, and some are not getting their news. And so we think this app might be a good way for us to be able to get important messages out to people in a timely basis. But more information will be coming. Hopefully after the first of the year, or right around the first of the year, we're able to, I guess, what would you say, not unleash, but debut the new app. So I would definitely appreciate your help when that time comes, Joe, because we'll have to show people how it works and so on.
Maybe we can elaborate more on what kind of services this app is going to offer.
Yes.
Can they send the mayor a message on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, everything you would find on a website, our city website, you would find on this app, but more. Even more, and those would be things like live news feeds and so on. So like I said, we're still learning it and we're still working out the details, but I think it'll be a valuable tool for the people that live here in the city of Ashland.
Well, we look forward to its debut.
Yep, absolutely.
Again, thank you, Matt. I know you're busy today, but thank you for
talking with me. Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We certainly have a lot to be thankful for here in our city.
Absolutely.
It's the most miraculous time of the year, a time for good tidings and Christmas good cheer, filled with childlike faith, wish lists and letters, sugar plums, toy cars, and Corvette red leather. Hopes that we were not naughty and made the nice list, to receive from that jolly man not coal, but only good gifts. I wish there was a way to guarantee. I guess the gift is a reminder that no matter the cost, receiving is free. Wishing Merry Christmas to you and yours is a must from all of us at Bill Harris Dealerships, the name you know and trust.